They laughed at him in front of everyone. His own team, his own office, the people he trusted most, and the worst part, he let them. His name was Rohan Verma, 32 years old, software engineer, born in a small town in Rajasthan, India, the kind of town where the electricity cut out every evening and kids did homework by candlelight. Rohan wasn't brilliant. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the most polished guy in the room. But he was hungry. He saved for 7 years. 7 years of shared apartments, skipped vacations, and instant noodles at midnight. All for one dream: to build a software startup that could help small businesses go digital. He called it Gridline, simple name. Big vision. He moved to Bangalore, rented a tiny office, hired 3 people he believed in. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The first year was hard, but the kind of hard that feels good. Late nights, whiteboard sessions that ran until 3 a.m., terrible coffee and brilliant ideas. His co-founder was a man named Samir, sharp, charming, well-connected. Samir handled the investors, Rohan handled the product. They balanced each other perfectly. Investors started calling. A seed round came through, small, but real. Then a mid-sized retail chain in Pune signed up as their first client. The team celebrated with cheap pizza and cheaper champagne. Rohan stood at the window of that tiny office that night, looking at the city lights below. He thought about his father, a school teacher who worked 2 jobs his whole life and still died with debt. "This one's for you, Papa." He whispered it to no one. 18 months in, everything cracked. Gridline had a product problem. A core feature kept breaking under load. Clients complained. One major account threatened to leave. Rohan worked non-stop to fix it. He barely slept. He skipped meals. He lost 8 kilograms in 2 months. But Samir went quiet. Meetings started happening without Rohan. Then one afternoon, Rohan walked into the conference room and found Samir sitting with their 2 lead investors. And a man Rohan had never seen before. They all went silent when he entered. Samir smiled. That calm, rehearsed smile. "Rohan, we need to talk." The man was a new CEO, already hired, already introduced to the board. Samir had spent 3 months telling investors that Rohan's vision was too small, that the product problems were leadership failures, that Gridline needed new direction, and the investors believed him. Rohan was offered a reduced role, minor equity, a title that meant nothing. He looked at Samir, the man he'd shared every idea with, every fear with, every late night with. Why was all he could manage. Samir shrugged. "Business, Rohan. It's just business." Rohan walked out of the building. He didn't go back. The news spread fast in the startup world. It always does. Gridline founder pushed out, couldn't handle scale, vision was weak. His phone got quieter every day. He moved back to a single room in an old apartment in Hyderabad, cheaper, smaller. LONELIER. He applied to companies. 14 rejections in 3 months. One interviewer, barely 26 years old, looked at his resume and said, "You ran a startup that failed. That's a red flag for us." Rohan nodded, thanked him, walked to his car, and sat there for 40 minutes without starting the engine. He called his mother that night. "Come home," she said. "Rest, it's okay." But he couldn't, because if he went home now, they'd all be right. Everyone who ever looked at that small town kid on said he was dreaming too big. Everyone who whispered at family gatherings. Every uncle with unsolicited advice. Every colleague who never believed in him. He sat in that small room for 2 weeks, doing nothing, just surviving. One evening, out of habit more than hope, he opened his old laptop. He found a folder he hadn't touched in years. Inside, old notes. Ideas he'd written at 22, before Gridline, before Samir, before any of it. One document was titled, "Problems I Wish Someone Would Solve." He read it slowly. Item number 4 stopped him cold. Small manufacturers in Tier 2 cities can't manage inventory properly. They use paper. They lose money. Nobody's building for them. He'd written that at 2. Nobody had built it yet. He opened a new document. He started typing. Not a pitch. Not a business plan. Just thinking out loud. The way he used to before the world told him how to think. For the first time in months, something inside him woke up. He gave himself one rule: no shortcuts, no investors, no partners. Not yet. He drove to industrial areas in Hyderabad, then Ekbar, then Coimbatore. He walked into factories. Small ones, textile units, auto parts suppliers, ceramic workshops. He didn't pitch. He just asked questions. What breaks down every week? Where do you lose the most money? What do you wish existed? He filled 3 notebooks, he coded at night, alone, no team, no office. Just the laptop, a fan that barely worked, and the kind of focus that only comes from having nothing left to lose. He built a simple inventory tool. Ugly interface. Clean logic. He offered it free to 5 manufacturers, they used it, then they told others. 6 months later, 22 businesses were on the platform. He charged a small monthly fee. They paid it without blinking. He called it Foundry. A journalist in Mumbai wrote a small piece about tools helping India's informal manufacturing sector. She mentioned Foundry in one paragraph. But the right person read it. A venture fund focused on industrial tech in India. They sent an email the next morning. Rohan stared at it for a long time before he replied. They met over a video call, then in person. They didn't ask about Gridline. They didn't ask about Samir. They asked about the factories, about the problems, about his roadmap. And for once, Rohan had real answers, not polished answers, real ones, built from 3 notebooks and 2 years of walking factory floors. They offered him funding, real funding, the kind that changes everything. He signed the term sheet on a Tuesday afternoon, alone in a small cafe, with 1 cup of tea going cold on the table. No celebration, no champagne. Just a long breath, and a quiet thank you to nobody in particular. 3 months after the funding news went public, Samir called. Rohan looked at the name on his phone screen for a long time. He answered. Samir's voice was different, soft or careful. He said Gridline had folded. The new CEO burned through the runway in 8 months. The investors pulled out. The team scattered. He said he was sorry. He said he'd made a mistake. There was silence on the line. Rohan didn't feel the satisfaction he thought he would. No anger, no bitterness. Just a strange kind of calm. I learned more from losing Gridline than I ever would have from keeping it. Samir, he paused. I hope you learned something too. He hung up. He set the phone face down on the table and went back to work. Today, Foundry is used by over 4,000 manufacturers across 11 Indian states. Rohan still doesn't own a fancy car. He still drinks too much tea. He still works late, but he has something no funding round can give you. He knows exactly who he is. He knows what he's built with nothing but belief and bruises. And on the wall above his desk, there's no word, no plaque, no framed magazine cover, just a single handwritten note, old and slightly yellowed, problems I wish someone would solve, because the ones who change the world are almost always the ones the world first called failures.